This is the Bar Steward's Enquiry.
Right? You're talking absolute rubbish. Absolute rubbish.
In what way?
You were an underachiever in life. I saved your bacon one time. You were gone.
You handled that well. I couldn't save you. But you did the right thing.
But that's why you don't know anything about racing, John.
I didn't say I do.
Right?
I'm saying that...
What have you contributed to racing? You're one of these take-out merchants. Take out all you can.
Hello and welcome. Yes, it's Bar Steward's Sunday sermon time. And what better to finish your weekend off with three degenerates like myself, John and Chris, going through the weekend's action and the week's events. And of course, your questions, which I have to say, they've been plentiful this week and have been rather fun to go through. So sit back, enjoy the show, put on some panpipes and listen to the Bar Stewards. And by the way, I haven't wrote any of that down, I swear.
No, it's obvious. That's obvious. Not scripted, right?
You wrote that down and read it back to you, so you just grabbed it later.
Yeah.
It's a cracking show, this, because we've got several topics to talk about. Of course, we've got yesterday's racing to go through, and there were some interesting pointers for the Fez for a change that we can certainly touch upon. We'll go to Donny first before we go to Chelts, John. And one there in particular took my eye very much so in Kerry Hill of Ruth Jefferson's in the River Don.
It was hugely impressive, wasn't it? Because I really fancied the Claxon bet. I thought that was pretty standout, really, in that race. And Kerry Hill's absolutely thumped it, hasn't it? It need to improve again, I would have thought. What we're looking, Albert Bartlett, is it the 3 miler?
Listening to Ruth after the race, I get the feeling she's not arsed about Cheltenham. I get the feeling that they're just happy to sort of sit back and have a think about it, because obviously Kerry Hill is waiting patiently, Mark II. This horse, I know, let's have the cliches out. An embryonic chaser.
You're guaranteed to fuck it up.
Wait till it gets over the big black one.
As long as it gets Ginger It'll attempted to back it in a King George.
Yes.
You know, and doesn't win, then we can all be thankful.
Yeah.
But yes, Kerry Hill, I have run into about 140, which means that when it goes over fences, it means it's going to be at least 150s, that sort of region. And who knows, the sky's the limit. I seriously think this is how good this is. I thought that the Claxon bet ran its race. I didn't think it's no stay away fair in terms of quality, but I do think it did run its race fair enough, fair's fair. But Kerry Hill, I think, will go on to great things, and it'd be interesting what they do. But if it were me, I wouldn't mess about. I'd get it straight over fences. I can't be arsed messing around. Erdling's a waste of time. Anyway, the Great Yorkshire Chase, of course, won by Annual Invictus, which, if you listen to the Not Totally Shit Friday show, John gave this a very positive mention. In fact, he told everyone, he gave a crisp poll, he gave the trumpets, that he'd already backed it and snaffled the 20s. He's a varmint.
At least I never put it up as a bet, though, when I said I'd snaffled the 20s.
To be honest, I would have. I'd have still done it.
No,
a man of principle. But he snaffled the 20s for himself. John, before we come on to Cheltenham, you had an email from a certain bookmaker after the race when you went to withdraw your winnings on this one. What was that all about?
Yeah, obviously I wasn't expecting a letter from them. I had the bet with Corals. I'm not one for leaving money in accounts. I leave money in Betfair, but if I'm backing something like at the early price or something like that, like with Corals, what I tend to do, I deposit and bet and withdraw if there's anything to withdraw, you know. And on this occasion, I get an email from Corals, and it said, "Please spend wisely. Dear John, we see that you've recently withdrawn a large sum of money. As part of our safer gambling commitment, we encourage you to think carefully about how you spend this money. More specifically, we suggest you don't rush to redeposit these funds. In addition, to help you keep your betting fun, we recommend familiarising yourself with our range of gambling controls. These include deposit limits, deposit curfew, timeout, reality check, and play breaks. And of course, if you need any help, feel free to contact us at any time." All the best. Your player advisory team.
Oh,
Have you done all that, John? Have you adhered
No.
to all that? Have you had a reality check about
yeah.
yourself? Have you given yourself a
No,
good
no,
dressing fucking down, you bastard? You know,
no, I'm still on cloud nine, I'm afraid. So,
absolutely. After that, it's interesting. Well, the good thing for you is that they've sent the winnings. I mean,
Yeah.
we've heard so many
Miracle.
stories.
Yeah.
If I'd have been you after the race, I'd have been
mm,
thinking, nice few quid to come here.
yeah.
Are they going to make me jump through hoops like a
Mm.
dancing bear to get paid? So I
Well,
saw,
funny thing was, after the race, I couldn't get logged on, and I didn't realise there was a problem with
You thought
website.
they'd gone pop,
right.
So,
disappear. They've left it.
but Jesus,
Yeah,
reality, you know.
yeah.
Yeah, but
They thought he'd gone all John Batten, Epsom Derby bookmaker, fill the satchel on the favon.
never a quarrel with coral. Yeah.
There was an happy ending there for John,
Yeah.
just like these Thai
Yeah.
massages.
Yes. Yeah. Always a happy
Now
ending
we can have
for
one of them
everyone.
now as well.
Well, yeah. Not for the poor bird giving the massage. There's no happy
No,
ending
No,
no,
for
no,
her.
no,
definitely
no, no. We've had a question
Anyway, yes.
regarding one of the races at Doncaster before we move on. That's the Rossington Main, which was run by Jericho de Repenay, obviously well touted and well fancied for the festival. And the question related, what's it mean when a horse hangs, John? R.E. Jericho de Repenay yesterday. Inexperience, a niggle. The horse was resolute enough, in his opinion, says Hugh Simpkin. So, in layman's terms, if like a horse has been spotted to hang in like Racing Post comments or Time Phone comments, or maybe TV people say this horse has hung today, what does it mean?
there's a variety of reasons why they might hang. I mean, obviously, the quickest route from the last hurdle to the finishing line is to keep straight, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you want them to keep run the gun barrel straight line. That rarely happens, really. They tend to follow an established racing line, or there's a variety of reasons. There might be bastards. You know,
Yeah, there is that.
it's not beyond the bounds. You know, they can be ducking away from the whip. They might have a very light mouth, and if the jockey's got his whip in the right hand, they'll hang towards the left because of the pressure on the mouth.
Yeah.
You know, they can hang. You know, I mean, they're not motor cars. If you take your hands off the wheel, the motor car generally keep straight unless you're driving an MOT failure waiting to happen.
Yeah, I've got one. Lugging to the curb. Honestly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, this is it. If an horse has got a physical problem, it's like having a flat tire. Your steering wheel will pull not straight foot straight and go left or right, whatever tire it is. I liken it to that. That sometimes it can be mental, where they just misbehave or immature, but it can be also physical, where they're feeling something on one particular joint or one particular side, and that's why they end up going a certain way to get off those lead legs that hurt. And I think that's why horses mostly probably do that rather than just temperament. That's just my view. But yeah, that's where I stand on hanging. R.E. Jericho de Repenay's Cheltenham ambitions, I don't think that's nothing to come at Cheltenham. If they go supreme, whatever. No. Not
I
having any
don't
part of
think
it.
I don't think he's a Cheltenham winner, but I will say I think them second and third are all right. Providing they don't get a bit giddy and go somewhere stupid with them, that they might both pay to follow till the end of the season.
That race didn't suit it yesterday. I will give you that. They crawled, and it wasn't really a satisfactory race. But I'm not so certain this is the real deal. Not for me, I'm afraid. So I hope that answers your question there at Doncaster. So we move across tracks to Cheltenham, where of course we had a very, very impressive winner of the Finesse Triumph Hurdle Trial with Sergino, the gin carrier, the yellow and black check colours of Shishkin. Have we got a champion, John?
Well, I hope not, having back Storm Hearts at Triumph. But I'd be very worried about this fella. He looked a bit tasty, didn't he?
Faster time than Lossiemouth.
Yeah, he looked fairly useful. I thought. I'm not surprised he's about even money now. I did think Accelero caught the eye in the race. The way travelled into the race and he got outspeeded at the end, but I think Accelero's an alright horse.
I wonder if Plain Jane Superbrain is going for a potential tilt at the Boodles. Maybe one more run in a maiden hurdle And then that could be one for the Boodles, John.
Could be a smart move, that.
Keep an eye on that one.
Yeah, the half brother had a racing post rating of 133. That was by Capyard.
Ginny's Destiny, the next race, he was very impressive, I thought, in the novices handicap. And Nichols was pretty keen on him afterwards, saying this is as good as Stage Man, John.
I think it was a good race again. I don't think the third horse, S Perfecto, can jump any better than he did yesterday. I thought that was a fine jumping exhibition. He just doesn't seem to convert these great rounds of jumping. And I thought Chris's tip theatre man was very much an eye catcher, really, insofar as he looked like he was going to finish out the back of the telly, like halfway down the hill.
He didn't come down the hill, he just got outpaced, didn't he?
Stayed on like a fucking Trojan, didn't he, up the hill? Another half furlong, it might have got a bit tasty.
Yeah, I felt a bit sorry for Chris on Friday's show because, like, 3 good picks, really, 3 seconds. That's Saturday racing. It's hard. Unlike the genius of myself and you with Garlow and Annual Invictus, Chris has felt he's come up short. Bless him.
Well, in fairness to Chris, might have Saturday tips got wankered.
Yeah, but your banker won today, mate. Easy champagne twist. Anyway, Garlow won the Big Paddy Power handicap, coming back to his very best. Sadly, in the next, which was the Cotswold Chase, contrasting fortunes for Jamie Snowden winning with Garlow, and then the Hennessy winner fatally injured, John.
Yeah, I didn't think it looked that. I didn't think it looked that bad at all. Actually, I was surprised it proved fatal, but it just goes to show, doesn't it? They're all made of glass, and they can really badly hurt themselves however they fall.
Yeah, so it's a brutal game, and that's part and parcel of it. If you're a true National Ump fan, obviously different sectors of society have different views. What do you make of it, John? In terms of is National Ump racing when they step it up again, which they started to step it up last year on animal cruelty, if you like. What's the next step? Do you think National Ump racing is going to be in trouble?
I struggle to justify it to people. To be honest, I hate seeing horses fall. When you either been badly, fatally injured, whatever, I mean, it's awful, and I don't think it's doing the game long term good any help at all, really. I mean, I know we have to fight for everything to keep the game going, but I do worry that National Ump Racing's earmarked for destruction at some point within the next 10 years.
It's certainly vulnerable to being able to defend certain parts of it. But, I mean, we could get on, like, track configuration, because obviously Cheltenham, you know the fence I'm on about, John. How many sort of lives has that claimed over the years? And that's my point. National Racing itself is going to have to accept that probably you're going to need flat bowls to run round, because undulations and coming downhill into a fence, or you've got to rise into a fence, and then
the trouble is, though, the minute something falls around a flat ball, they're going to say, "Well, there you are, that hasn't fucking worked."
It's true. Like you say, you're probably just waffling and talking shit. It is what it is. Capodanno, it wasn't a surprise winner to you, John. What's the future for Capodanno?
Well, if I was Mullins, I'd run in Gold Cup.
Yeah,
because I don't think JP's got anything else. I think he sees the Gold Cup trip out pretty well. His jumping's improved a lot from the early part last year. He's also I've kept an eye on, because I had him as an anti-post punt in the National last year. I don't think he gets far in a quarter, and I think that sort of limits where he can go. His rating is probably going to go up for winning that, which I think would probably stuff him in a National anyway. So I think I'd run in a Gold Cup and hope to pick the bits up, to be honest. Decent ground, he's all right.
Do you know what? I think he's one of them that, despite he's sticky jumping at times, I just think he's one of them that'll come flying up the hill and run into the money.
Good round of jumping, you could get away with it, couldn't you, and finish second or third?
I think so. So we move on to the Clarence House, the rescheduled from Ascot to Cheltenham. Elixir de Nuts overturning the unlucky Jonbon, but lucky if you knew that was the one that let the Ginger Hitler down for his weekend fun and his acca.
Good acca and all, apparently, so even better.
Yeah, So there's nothing not to like. Certainly with Endo, etc. That John, you got your wish. You want them all beat the Endo runs.
We're halfway there, aren't we? We've got one of the big two got dicked. Let's be fair, if he hadn't made that Harlix at was it the third last? Far out, sorry. He'd have won that, wouldn't he?
He would, but I think that's him done in terms of
Probably,
Cheltenham
yeah.
Festival. Do you know what? I thought his guts were hanging out after that mistake. It was an absolute horror of a clout. I thought the ride was okay. He didn't get after him, but he was knackered on the running. And
I think, funnily enough, I think it was just the race Popeye wouldn't have wanted him to have.
Yeah, I reckon Popeye would have preferred it, and he just sat on it and pulled it up. Got back to paddock and said to Popeye, I said, "Oh, I could have fought that race, but I think it's left all its race there. That's it.
Oh yeah.
Done. You can back the Mullins horse, Fabiola, and just
Didn't take anything home to 7 brandies, did he?
No. Coming to that race, we had a few comments about ITV's coverage and also press after that race. And what's interesting is poor young Freddie Gingell who's a claimant, conditional still, rides his first Grade 1 winner. And there's one press hack round him talking to him after the race. And the little hordes around Popeye and Jonbon. What do we make of that?
For somebody who's not a big fan of making a fuss of jockeys, I don't particularly mind, because I suppose Jonbon's the story and people want to know whether he's all right. And Hendo's usually good copy if something's gone wrong, isn't he? You know, you can understand the pressmen going towards him, trying to grab a quote, because what are the Tizzards going to say about Elixir the Nuts, really?
He's the nuts.
Well, yeah, if you were going to say that, you'd be there, wouldn't you?
It's the nuts, simple as. Anyone backing Jonbon at the Fez, go and see a doctor. That is my view, honestly. I'll stripe that. If that turns up, I don't care what the noises are. That ain't winning round there. Because if you watched as well, its confidence went completely, John. You know, it weren't measuring the fences after that. It weren't really like it usually does. And I just
proper granny jump at the last, wasn't it?
Yeah, he's done. It's over. Toast.
Yeah, we'll remember that. We'll commit this to memory when it wins on a steel.
Well, this is
honestly.
This is. I know exactly. This is a podcast. We don't sit there and go.
It's got every chance.
No,
getting back. I'm sure. You know, blah blah blah. No, it's got no fucking chance. Lay the bollocks down.
Stick your bollocks in the frying pan. That's the game. Right. Absolutely. And coming to sticking your bollocks in the frying pan.
Not that Chinese fella again. Is on YouTube to frying that up.
He has had cow's penis this week.
Who hasn't? Yeah.
There's often bollocks in the frying pan there, isn't
there? Yeah. Lots of lots of testicles that he cuts. He makes scores into testicles and then puts seasoning in it and then puts it in some kind of broth. The missus is rather pleased when she's eating bollocks, to be honest. And it's better than talking bollocks like we do. But anyway, Lossy Mouth obviously is the talk of the town, with many people saying she should be taking on the likes of Constitution Hill in the Champion Hurdle rather than the Mares Hurdle on the back of this. I'm going to play this down, and I was very keen on her on the Friday show because obviously I think Love Envoy, who was better, to be honest, I thought she's going on genuine First Street Rhuboard, who Pumpkin said that Ginny's Destiny had worked all over Rhuboard in the last gallop. So that doesn't bode well in terms of where Rhuboard's at the minute. Lossy Mouth, time slower than Sir Gino, John. Are people getting carried away for the mare taking on the great Constitution Hill?
Won't matter what people say, because rich fella, he'll want this to win the Mares Hurdle.
Yeah.
And he won't give a stuff about people wanting to take in Constitution Hill on, because he'll want to be the big boy in the paddock when it's the Mares Hurdle. And I'm pleased because I had to have that fucking stupid £100 treble, didn't I? And I put her in.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, she's now the Annie Power of the festival, isn't she? She can't really get beat in the Mares Hurdle. She just.
He is hoping, yeah.
4 to 7 on the day, maybe shorter. 2's on.
5 to 2 here, Chris Poole.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
Yeah. Well, there you go. So Lossy Mouth, I agree with John. That's not good for the champion. It won't happen. And that will be going for the Mares Hurdle, which she is the older blogger, Acca-bet, treble bet, whatever you want to put. There'll be some trebles, doubles riding on her.
She'll be in the Mackay before trebles in a row, won't she?
Yep, and if she's the last leg, you can bet your life she won't be winning. Come on to the Cleve Hurdle. Again, some noises made by some of our resident bar stewards on Twitter with questions. Rap Podcast was annoyed the ITV coverage surrounding Paisley Park. Chris Andrews saying the same thing about it all about Paisley Park afterwards. Nothing about the winner, Noble Yates, just all about Paisley Park, and he's aged a dozen. Obviously, I suppose to national fans, Johnny's probably like a bit of a standing dish, etc. Is this reasonable for fans to cheer the second more than the winner?
Probably when it's Emmett training the winner, but I mean, Paisley Park's had a bastard of a season, hasn't he?
Yeah, 3 seconds is a fucking dodge, mate, honestly.
Head, short head.
Yeah, he's dodging now, 100%. I love people saying how game he is. He tossed it off on 3 starts.
Yeah.
I mean, against Dashel Drasher at Newbury, it went something like 5s on as he's just about to mow it down and then just refused to go past.
The thing is, I mean, somebody mentioned on the thread this morning that ITV looking for a story. It would be a typical ITV result, wouldn't it, if he went and won the Stairs? Because they could really milk that with the 3 less than a neck defeats leading into it. And he's 12 and he's nearly old enough to smoke and all the rest of it, isn't it? You know,
yeah,
I
do.
that.
It's good, that.
Yeah.
Courtesy of Dan Barber, that one, I think.
Yeah, a cigar. A cigar as he's coming out of the paddock, yeah.
I mean, I'm surprised they didn't make more of a national winner winning the Cleve Hurdle.
Exactly.
I don't think that would have happened before.
Noble, yeah. I mean, you can see obviously what they're doing again. These are all national preps, and obviously it's going to have a bit of a welterweight.
I quite fancied him against them yesterday. I thought, well, you know, if he runs to his chase rate, he'll murder him.
Yeah, Chris Paul.
Yeah. When does this run, please? We want to be on.
Yeah.
You can listen to what he recorded of the Friday show.
Yeah, you did, but stop justifying it.
So anyway, going forward, there's nothing from that Cleve Hurdle, I don't think, to worry the judge in the Stayers Hurdle at Cheltenham. Paisley Park might be thereabouts, but he'll dog it 100%.
What's going to win the Stairs then? Do we care?
Not really. No, I don't care, and I don't know. To be honest, I find the Stayers division very unattractive in terms of sexy profiles, if you like.
Well, they're all 56 as well, aren't they?
It's like watching Blankety Blank, innit, with Old Fail Celebrity.
Yeah.
Celebrity Squares for our older listeners.
Yeah, I love that show. Terry Wogan's Metal Microphone. You know,
yeah, stick with a little bobble on the end, wasn't it? That was it.
What was all that about? Was that like code for like, I'm going to shove that up your after?
Someone broke it, didn't they? Some celebrity snapped it off.
Kenny Everett.
Yeah.
It's all done in the best possible way. Yeah. More of your questions now. We come on to Speed Bandits, and he said a classic chase at Warwick a couple of weeks ago, £33 walk-up price for a poor renewal card, really, and they were 30% down in attendance. Warwick came out with a press release blaming the Coventry football match. I'm not so certain that's the reason, but...
Well, someone else is going to match.
If you've ever watched Coventry, then I guess so.
Yeah.
Fucking hell, I mean, if they were expecting some police horses running, it was going to be a shit race anyway.
Yeah, RE racecourse prices. We see the price at the Fez each year go up. I think Royal Ascot prices have gone up this year again as well. Is it fair? Are these fair prices? I don't know. I mean, what's your take on it? £33 walk up. Is that going to entice you, Chris, to attend?
They'd have to pay me £33 to entice me to go through those gates. I mean, I think it's, as we've said before, it's a lot of money, isn't it, for a day out? And that's excluding all the food and drink, unless you smuggle all the piccalilli in your socks. It's an expensive day out, isn't it, for not particularly interesting racing. So, you look, their operating costs will doubtless have gone up, but it's becoming more and more unattractive as a day out, isn't it, really?
I'd find that hard to justify myself, I'll be honest. £33. I do pay that for a football game, but if it goes beyond that for a football game, I am proper oohing and ahhing, because I know you pay a lot more than that in the Premier League, for example, to watch, say, the bigger teams.
Sure.
There's a saying in football, 20's plenty. Yeah. And I think £20 a nice figure for tracks, really, to budget around. But 33 is certainly on the cusp of I'd rather sit and drink gin and
Yeah.
pate in my own
Yeah,
boudoir for the
yeah.
afternoon.
It's a lot of money you've got. That's not food. That doesn't include travel costs. I mean, it's an expensive day out. Even for one person, you put your partner in, or other members of your family. That's a lumpy afternoon out, isn't it?
It is. Move on to next question, which is the prosthetic leg idea to save racehorses after they've had bad leg injuries. Now, apparently, technology and people have developed these prosthetic legs, and apparently, it's not bad for racehorses. John, what he's saying here is the mileage in a prosthetic leg for racehorses when they're injured.
I don't know, the track record of prosthetic legs isn't good. There could be shooting people in the bathroom once they've had them fitted, couldn't there?
Yes, our South African correspondent confirms. Yes, quite.
Oh, no, I mean, it's a step too far.
Pull the other one. Got bells on.
I think so. I'd be concerned that the horse wouldn't be a good life, would it, with a prosthetic leg?
The horse wouldn't understand that it's got a prosthetic leg on.
No, especially if it's thoroughbred because they're bred to race.
The
Highly
issue is that,
No.
as what I've read yonks ago, is that technically that could work, but it's about keeping them still enough within the recovery process, which makes it very difficult. You can do it with dogs and things because you can keep them sort of relatively contained, but an animal that size, any kind of movement that sort of moves away from being safe makes it really difficult for the rehabilitation. So I don't know actually how that would work in reality.
I mean, if you're trying to fix a horse up, it's the equivalent of telling Alex Hurricane Higgins to sit still while Cliff Thorburn and Tom Powers are 35
and not have a drink or a smoking while he's waiting. Yeah, impossible.
Yeah.
In fact, going back in the day, I reckon if you fiddle draw, so Alex Higgins got Cliff Thorburn in first round, Eddie Charlton in second round. I think he'd drive himself that mad. He'd walk out.
You guarantee somebody would be getting a nut stuck on him.
He'd end up nicking Bill Werbenick's beer, wouldn't they, just to calm his nerves?
Good stuff. We're no to prosthetic legs. It's no from us. That's where we see that. What's the true story with the Caldwell horses, says Aidan Savage. All I've read is that obviously the Caldwell horses they've with immediate effect, that's it. Probably going to end up in the sales, whatever. I presume the business has collapsed. Would you assume that to be?
No.
Do you know, John?
I read I think it was a post, that had another fatality, a horse called DB Cooper this week, that I actually stiffened, even Chris Poe, in reverse. And that sustained a terrible injury. I think it was 3 out at Fairy House. And honest to God, it was horrible. It jumped the fence and it folded up like a paperclip. Honestly, it was terrible. They have young kids, these two, apparently. And they've been taking them racing. And they were saying it's harder and harder to justify. They had, what was it, Caldwell and Potter last year. And now this. Basically, they've had enough for the time being.
Interesting. So nothing to do with finance?
I mean, I'm trying to believe it.
Do we know the origins of DB Cooper, chaps? We familiar with that myth? Because DB Cooper was the nom de, I think it's nom de plume or nom de guerre of the only unsolved hijacking in US aviation history. So if you Google DB Cooper, he's the one that got onto the plane, I think in 1972, managed to convince them to put give him some money in a rucksack, and then jumped out the back of the aircraft, never to be seen again. And of course, some of the money was recovered in the 80s, I think. But it's for conspiracy theories. There's websites, there's holiday tours, all looking for the mysterious DB Cooper. And there's been about 5 deathbed confessions over the years saying, yes, I was DB Cooper. But that was the name he gave himself when he checked in, was DB Cooper. There you go. Wow. It's really interesting story. There's a cracking one on Netflix about it. Fascinating. Some people just go down the rabbit hole with it, but he was a guy that has never been traced, never been found. They've never found any compelling evidence as to who this man was.
If you feel you need educating, there's only one podcast.
So it's on the BBC. Check it out. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love this.
Yep, Dan Cooper. There was the only kind of link to why he chose DB Cooper was there was a comic about 2 years before, 2 or 3 years before, late 60s, involving a guy who called himself DB Cooper, published in Canada, and he was a sort of a superhero that was kind of a daredevil, and they reckon that perhaps the guy took inspiration from that very, very small comic that had a very limited circulation in Canada. There you go. All good stuff.
Good stuff on this podcast. No messing
You
here.
won't
I
get that with
love this.
Tony Calvin, will you? Honestly.
No, nothing there from Big Tone. Next question. We come on to mares. Nick Davis said, should we move all the mares races to Aintree? Stephen Thomas has been on and said that he gets that they want to strengthen the breed and keep more mares in training. If they want mares Grade 1 races, they should be run on Saturdays in February to strengthen the fair, which isn't great after the old Schweppes has been run at Newbury. The best can then still go on to the fairs. Thoughts, John?
You know my thoughts on mares races.
But Davis, it's the same. You both.
He sent that in to aggravate me. Hasn't he?
The thing is, though, that obviously mares it's good, isn't it? Because for the breeder, because the breeders need
You could run them behind closed doors. Like Tuesday night somewhere.
Hang on, we've just talked about how good Lossymouth is, and you're saying you want her behind closed doors on a Tuesday night?
No, I want to win in the mare's hurdle at 5-2. It doesn't mean I won't be chumping late, especially if he gets turned over. I'll say, well, there you are, fucking mare spawn for you, load of shit.
It's funny because I've ran systems and I've looked at data. I know this bores Chris to tears.
Give us a win and a tip. That's all we want.
Yeah, I don't get it because I always think mares have got a bigger spectrum in terms of disappointment. So if you've got a 150 mare over jumps, I think they're likely to run to the mark or above, but just as likely to run to about 100 and just be tailed off. And I've always thought that through time that the mares tend to just say no. It's like too windy, too hot, too cold, like Goldilocks. Sorry if you're of female listenership here, but it's true. You're not female. You take them out and it's like, get the brolly out. You're like, fucking raining. I've done my hair. What you brought me out for? They don't perform.
Just never take them out. That's the answer, isn't it? Stay in.
I've done my hair. Look at my hair. Look at the state of my hair now. Like Wurzel Gummidge. It's blown hair all over the place. And that's the same with fillies and mares. They probably get there and go, I don't think.
Too muddy. Just had my new shoes put on. Yeah.
Oh, we're going to get some shit for that. So I couldn't find anything statistical.
And the really tough, hard-running mares as well, in my experience, tend to make shit brood mares.
Yeah, do you reckon they're using all the, everything they've got, all the plasma, all the the lot, into being tough and hardy, and then, like you said, then they get to stud on it. I mean, look at that brilliant one of Stouts, John. Islington. I mean, what price would you have gone that producing 0 at stud? 0.
And I think the first 10 were colts.
Yeah, astonishing. That's probably the most surprising mare in terms of stock.
If you had to bet on one to make a brood mare at the winner, you thought, well, she's fucking certainty. She was a marvellous mother. Yeah. She was shit.
And stand by in February, folks, because on Patreon only, it's myself and John chewing the fat about the stout years. This is a podcast not to miss, is the Patreon show in February with me and John talking about the stout years. Again, 7 notes, get subscribing, and then maybe think about Edge also, because we've nailed another 5-1 winner today in the bumper that won the last at Fontwell. And honestly, I can testify that the judges behind this, we all work very hard and we expect to make good money every year. And it's full worth it. You'll enjoy it. And it's monthly deals. So basically you can cancel if you don't like the service after a month. So all good there. Right, we move on to the next question, which is about Barney Curley. And it's from Steve Buxton. He says, loves the title track, and obviously he wants to know how Barney Curley saved John McCreerick's bacon, as referred to at the start of your esteemed podcast. John?
You bailed him out, didn't he?
Yeah, it was either when he was bookmaker or he was trying to be a professional punter, and he was in a lot of stump. I heard, I don't know if it's true, but I heard it was 7 figures.
Okay, now.
Blimey.
That is a lot of money, isn't it? Crikey. I mean, I assumed it was 10, 20 grand, I don't know. But I didn't think it was anything like that. But bloody hell. But why wouldn't it be, I guess?
He was in mega stump.
Gosh.
So I don't know what the arrangement was, but look, that's apparently what happened. And yeah, Barney Curley did save Big Mac's bacon, as he described in the Folkestone weighing, outside the Folkestone weighing room. Bar Stewards Race Day is being proposed by some listeners, wanting us to do a Bar Stewards Race Day. In other words, we turn up and everyone turns up, and maybe it'd be like Wolf of Wall Street.
Wolf of Sesame Street, I think. Not Wall Street, Sesame Street.
Yeah.
Bring your own quaaludes.
Yeah, as long as there's a Donny turning up. Well, how do you pronounce them, John? The tablets Donny has.
Quaaludes.
Yeah.
Lemons.
Lemons.
Man, ludes.
Yeah. We could all turn up and just do the song.
If anyone would like to send us the 33 quid, we'll have it at Warwick. How about that?
Yeah.
So that's it. Do you want a Bastards Wolf of Wall Street Day at Warwick at 33 notes a go?
Probably not.
We can all get on
Probably
tables.
not.
Warwick might let us all in if we were going to do Wolf of Wall Street concert.
I'll
The best bar I've ever had.
I'll bring a beatbox with AC/DC Thunderstruck blaring out.
A beatbox. God.
Beatbox.
Have the kids in the same dancing as well, won't we, if we've got a beatbox going?
Sebastian's Race Day, do you want to see that? Do you actually want to converse with me and John for an afternoon? I mean, it's questionable. You've got to think in small doses. You like it once a week on a Sunday, but would you like it really for a full afternoon? It's
having Battenberg every day, isn't it? Could you handle that? I could actually, but
it's not just us as well. I mean, we've got to get the likes of Davis and Nev there, and
Davis. I mean, we'd have to send a turquoise 3-wheeler for him.
Yeah.
get him up here, and it'd be complicated. But are you interested?
Fly Andy Richmond in from here, Doc.
Is this something that interests? Tipperary all-weather track.
Yes.
The plans have been approved. And I think this is lovely for the Irish because you've got Dundalk, which is in the northeast. I mean, imagine living in the southwest and thinking, I've got an all-weather horse here. And then it's about a 5.5 hour drive.
And it's a long way to Tipperary, isn't it? Honestly.
Yeah. So the south. So the fact that Tipperary, I think that's really good. I think that brings all the training centres in Central Ireland, Southern Ireland, right into the equation instead of traipsing up to Dundalk.
Just really need Leopardstown, Nass and the Curragh to go all-weather then.
By the way, John, I actually think your all-weather predictions are gonna come right in time. I genuinely think it will. I just think that they're in such a mess with the water, and you know they are. You know that they've fucked it all up. The last whatever years, Prescott says they've fucked it all up. There's no going back. You've now got the wrong type of grass. You've got the grass that needs...
Still got wrong type of Clarks.
Yeah, wrong type of Clarks. You need grass that needs constantly watering. And this is the problem. And then you've got a water table problem when it rains, because we've seen abandoned meetings just when you've had like 15 mils of rain on the flat. And it's like, all of a sudden, it's like, oh no, it's gone heavy from good. Oh dear, we've got standing water. We'll have to abandon. That's the thing. So I can see John's prediction actually coming true in years to come. And the reason being is because it's the floodlit idea as well. Don't forget, we're in a period now of dirty art, that are running the game in terms of how to do it. You're going to see more floodlit tracks, and I think the all-weather idea that John said, I don't think it's an idea. I think it's going to happen, and I think it's track by track. And you'll have just a few turf tracks left when probably we're dead or we're gone. That'll be the future. I added to that somewhat.
We might be severely limited at where we can have our ashes scattered.
Indeed, yeah. My great-granddad had his ashes scattered at Doncaster at the winning post, and I've never backed a winner there since. So, will Catterick have an all-weather track was one of the questions, and apparently this had planning permission approved, but apparently ARC opposed it because obviously they've got Newcastle. I don't think we need an all-weather track at Catterick given the proximity of Newcastle, but I'm like John. I think all-weather tracks are a great idea.
I tend to think we don't need a track at Catterick.
But what do you do with the listed building toilets that's there? The Victorian ones that stink a piss?
Well, you could leave them up in case anybody in Catterick wants a piss, couldn't you?
just get rid of the track, build houses.
It's like a monument, you know. You can put a little plaque up for them to read while they're piddling.
Yeah.
And say, here once stood a noble racecourse, but now you can just stand in your own piss.
Indeed.
Just like the old Catterick toilets, eh? Ankle deep in piss.
Briefly, Paul S said, bring back 11 to 10 to 10 to 11, sell the evens like the old days. Yeah, why not? But yeah, a bit quirky. I used to like that. It was easy for settlers anyway, when you were doing round robins and shit like that, to change the 10 to 11 and 10 into evens. Yeah. Fair play, absolutely. more or less agree there. Right, on to the funny questions now. Right, so Samuel the Cat's been on. No punter likes others winning after timing, if they are truly honest. I think we all agree with that.
We had a bit of show yesterday, didn't we?
Yeah. We all have had some terrible luck over the years. What is the worst day's racing punting you have ever had, where everything went wrong and you felt like jacking it in? And how did you recover in the evening? Says Samuel the Cat. Chris, can you remember a particularly
Every
awful...
day. Every day. Every
It's
day
not.
is the
That's
same.
not
There's
true.
nothing. No day is indistinguishable from the other. Honestly.
No, I'm not having that. I'm not having
No,
that.
well, straight away you got to go after you've had your winnings, go and knock it out on the casino, haven't you? You have to. It's the law. So you have to end up with nothing at the end of the day. That's the rules, isn't it? When you're a degenerate.
I mean, the worst for me, I'll tell the story again
Go on.
because I've been requested, but I'll tell it at the end. Somebody's requested on Twitter. But the thing is, Chris, it's the needle. The needle is the enemy of the professional punter and
Yes.
the recreational punter. Because when you have a horse that you think, oh my God, this should have won 5 minutes, it's either fell at the last, it's 3 clear on the running, it's sky sniffed, it's looked around and got done on the post, and you've had a really, really good bet on it. It's really hard, isn't it, to like shell that rage. You've thought, oh, I've got a right few quid here. And then all of a sudden you haven't, and you've done your money as well. How do you keep a lid on that?
I think, yeah, I can see that. I've never suffered. Well, I've never responded to the needle by playing, to chase. I tend to be so engulfed in sort of impotent rage that I'd vow never to do it ever again. So I don't tend to chase. Quite the opposite, actually, because I think I hate it all and the injustice of it. So I take the opposite view. So if you get a bad beat, that's me done, foot through telly, and that's it, really.
Yeah. John, you must have, for me, a really, really bad day where you must have. Everyone's got.
I had a really, really bad meeting at the EBA meeting in 1991. And about a month before that meeting took place, I had the good fortune to have an auntie, Peggy. She left me a nice little sum, shall we say, in a will. I was going into that meeting full of confidence, thinking, oh, I've got this money and now this is a bonus, I'm playing with somebody else's. And stagecraft was running in the International on the first day, and after he just got dipped in the eclipse, Steve said he got there too soon, he'd make no mistake here, everything was pointing to an easy win there to start proceedings off with a chunky winner. And that was the year that there was nothing could get beat if it stayed on the far rail. There was the joggers track in full preeminence. Terryman just kept going up the straight. Nothing coming up the middle could get anywhere near. And it persisted all week, but after the body blow stagecraft, I didn't feel quite like packing in just then. And it took till the Thursday, it was a 3-day meeting then. And I think Dillon got beat in the gym crack.
Yeah, I backed Dillon in the gym crack.
And
Well, that's
that
why.
was it. that was it. That was it. I went straight down into York and spent the rest of what I had left on a gammon and pineapple tea, I think.
Yeah, I remember that day. That wasn't a good day for me either. I was a youngster, but
That was the worst experience I've ever had at York races because I had 3 days and I never got a sniff.
No.
No. It's funny it's York though, because I mean, despite York being our favourite meeting and favourite track, again, I'll tell this story again because people seem to like it. The York one is my worst day ever, where I turned up. John was there, Koo was there, Koo's Racing Club, all the usual professional faces, and we were all sat down with the champagne, ready to enjoy a day's racing. And I don't know what took over my head, because I for some reason, I just started playing to very, very large stakes very quickly. And I don't know why. I cannot explain why. I was out of context. Maybe it was the champers. I don't know. But I just started to just...
You were napping the gym crack or something and it was second race on the card or something.
Yeah, I can't remember. It was like, it could have been Haley Turner. It was. I know I had a big place bet on one that Haley Turner rode. And I said, this cannot be out the 3. It just cannot be out the 3. I'm not backing in the win. The place is the way to go. And I absolutely lumped it. I think I had $7,000 at 1.7 to place. And it was 4th, like where they all come.
Well, of course they do, yeah.
I just got the needle. I really, really did get the needle. Yeah. And I don't know. I lost all control.
Oh, no.
So I proceeded to do about 22 grand in or something like that. Brian said he got a winner at Cartmel for me. I backed that. That was second. And I just started to lose it. I lost my head. Like everyone has done at some point in their life, unless you're an absolute machine. I did lose my head. And I had the face on, stomped off after about 3-4 races, and I'm going home. 22 grand down.
Yeah.
And then proceeded to carry on playing on racing TV and did another 20, and so it totaled 42,000
Christ.
on the day. Yeah, that was my worst ever day, and probably done about 50% of what I had liquidity wise as well. Like in terms of able to have a bet. So I would say, yeah, that's the one where
Maybe the Coral team can help you, because it sounds like you've lost control of your gambling, Lee.
Well, the weird thing is now, this is a really good point on terms of affordability, because as we know, now I would be considered a degenerate after that.
You would be. By their definition, whether you considered yourself as such, they say, well, you're out of control. You've lost 50% of your net worth on gambling.
They'd have stopped you after that, wouldn't they?
Well, and in the future, the NHS are going to get involved in terms of like tackling gambling addiction, right?
Yeah.
They'd have had me in.
Yeah.
Like
Stewart's inquiry, yeah. Yeah, they would have done.
You'd have never seen daylight again, like you'd have been in a fucking panic.
I know. This is the thing.
Is it affecting your moods, your relationships? Yes. Well, you've got a problem then, haven't you, mate? That's it. But that's every punter that's ever breathed air has had the hump. Every punter with a bad beat or whatever has probably lost their shit. 99%. If you haven't, you're not a punter, are you? Everyone has the hump, don't they?
Well, that either week, honestly, I'd finished eating my tea, I could have walked straight into the fucking
Totally.
house.
Everybody feels that when it's just so outrageous, and you turn to the heavens and you think, why the fuck is it always me? Everybody's felt that.
Yeah.
I do indeed. We'll answer one question from Andy McGahey, which is best gambling stable that when the money down usually comes up trumps. That's easy. Friend of the show, Stuart Williams. They don't just take the winnings. They take your lunch money. They take your pocket money. They leave you nothing. There's nothing left when Stuart Williams wants to play. So friend of the show, Stuart Williams, kudos.
Yes. Then send us some info, Stuart. It's been a bit quiet on Twitter, hasn't it? Yeah. He doesn't seem to message us.
Yeah. No, to be honest, I've asked him to come on the pod and he's agreed, so that's good.
Good guy.
In Andy McGahey to respond, we'll cover this because we're going to do a gamble special podcast in February. Look out for that. A sermon special. It'd be really fun. That you'll love that one, Andy. So wait till February for that. To finish the show, I just thought we'd touch on some fun here about no context Brits, really. And I looked at my freezer today, and it's looking a bit rough, as in like ice like developing around the compartment.
Freezer burnt peas and all that.
And I'd like to ask you two, like on freezer defrosting. I mean, there's some really funny things. If you don't look in your freezer for a while, what's this? Is it a lamb shank, a human arm, some Christmas cake, or none of the above? You look in, and it's like your bottom drawer. And it's what's this? Is it an expensive joint of beef that's been there since the 2002? Do we chuck that out? What do we do? Why have I frozen this half portion of mashed potato?
Times must have been hard then.
All of a sudden, you chuck one drawer out, there's a sack of ash browns, and you've been buying them for 3 months thinking you've got none. What freezer experiences have you two?
Well, we're frost free here because we're in the south, so we don't have to defrost the freezer, But I have to say, you're right. You get these huge blocks of ice with like peas in the middle, don't you? And you wonder what the fuck's that? It's like the summit of Everest, where the bodies of those climbers need to be recovered every 10 years. Having been encased in ice. That's generally what my freezer looks like. But you're right. There's stuff in there that I don't even remember buying, and I'm not even sure what it is. And frankly, I'm frightened to touch it. So yeah, I'm with you on that.
When you're chiseling ice away, or as the producer sometimes has a good technique, she gets the hairdryer out.
Yeah.
And blast the hairdryer on the ice, and then you've just got to make sure you've got a bucket at the bottom to collect all the water. John, what's your techniques?
Well, little Tupperware tubs with the lids on.
Yeah.
We have about 40 of them in the freezer with brown stuff in.
All right.
All right.
I've no idea what it is, but.
Ooh.
Well, Haley's away. I'm slowly but surely working my way through the brown stuff, and
and you don't know what it is.
Well, I'm not eating it. I'm just.
Oh right, okay.
I'm taking it out of the freezer, running the Tupperware under the hot tap till the brown brick drops out, and then it's going straight in the bin.
Right. God knows what that is.
So
Slowly but surely getting rid of them all
yeah,
Freezing Marmite or something, isn't it?
to generate a bit of room.
this is a British thing though, defrosting freezer.
There's boxes in there as well where, 26 fish fingers, and you think, oh, lovely, I'm going to have a fucking fish finger sandwich for my dinner. When you pull the box out, there's one fucking fish finger
I
in
know.
it.
I hate that. My kids are the same. You think you've got stuff in, open it, and the bastards put the empty cardboard box in. So you got
Yeah.
frozen. Fucking, what's the matter with people? I never understand that.
Who the hell puts one fish finger back?
But they do.
You have 9 in your sandwich instead of 8.
That's it. And of course, we go back to our famous show where we discussed how many fish fingers is the correct amount to have on a fish finger sandwich.
26. Yeah, everyone knows that.
Everyone knows that you should be doing a box or half. If you don't do at least half a box, you're absolutely idiot. And we discussed that on a show, and it was popular. We were right. Fish fingers, half a box or full box, depending if you're pissed.
Or now.
Yeah.
That's it.
We hope you enjoyed this show. We are back as usual on Friday, next weekend's racing. And again, on Sunday, you'll get to see me, John, and Chris. Don't forget to support us on Patreon. It is worth your while and our while, because obviously we will make sure it is profitable for you and knowledgeable and improve your game in many ways. That's all from me, Chris and John. Hopefully you'll have a good end to your weekend. That's all from us. Bye for now.